Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Astro Consciousness channel. I'm Millie, and I am here to give you your forecast for the week of March 17th to the 23rd. In this channel, we talk about the astrological energy of the week ahead and how you can integrate it into your personal and spiritual growth. So before I begin, a few things. If you saw, I posted that I'm in the middle, well, now no longer in the middle of a move. I have officially moved into a new space. It has come with a lot of adjustment. It has come with some delays, which is why I was unable to post a video at all last week. Internet service was delayed. I couldn't upload videos. Anyway, the whole thing. And so today, I'm recording this and I'm posting this, but the capacity of my nervous system, to be quite honest, is to just do a voice recording. As someone, as a spiritual coach, a lot of the work that I do with clients is around the nervous system capacity. And as such, I am minding my own. So this week, you get my voice, but I wanted to make sure that you got this week's forecast because we're in the middle of so much change and transformation. And also, if you want to know about the lunar eclipse in Virgo and want to know about the upcoming solar eclipse in the sign of Aries, be sure to purchase the eclipse guide. It's $25. I'll leave the link down there. Okay. So here we are, right? Starting the week of March 17th under the influence of a lunar eclipse in Virgo, which highlighted a lot of the things that we may have been for quite some time either overlooking, deciding that we want to overlook, right? So this could be something that we were overlooking because we were genuinely, it was genuinely in our blind spot, or we were just avoiding it. And like with anything in Virgo, the reason that Virgo is known as the sign of details is because Virgo is the sign of discernment, right? And in order for us to be discerning about what we're looking at, exactly what it is that is in front of us, we need to be able to look at, face, acknowledge the details of a situation. And so here we had a lunar eclipse, which is 3 full moons in 1, which is very emotional in itself, which, even though it's an earth sign, probably was very emotional and saying, this is what I have either been overlooking or refusing to deal with. And now this is how it's blown up in my face. Or now this is how I can no longer avoid it. Or now my body is really telling me that I have to go to the doctor. Or now my lack of organization, my lack of boundaries is really showing up, right? All of those being Virgo themes in the zodiac. Now, I will say that the beautiful thing about that is that we are in the middle of an eclipse season, and that's the point of eclipse seasons. The point is for eclipse seasons to show us, again, what has been our blind spot or what we have been purposely avoiding or pushing in the back burner so that we can deal with it. And why do we want to deal with it? Because we want to be liberated from whatever judgment is coming up with whatever we're being forced to look at. Why? Because in a lower expression, Virgo is extremely judgmental and critical. And I will remind you that that is not the point of Virgo energy. It is not to be judgmental and critical. The point is to ask yourself, how is this serving me? Is it allowing me to grow? Is it allowing me freedom? Is it allowing me to tend to other parts of my life that I actually want to tend to in a way that feels like I'm being of service to myself, to my family, to the world, right? Now, the ruler of Virgo, Mercury, also went retrograde over the weekend. So now, not only are we deep in eclipse season, we still have one more eclipse to go at the end of March. We are in the middle of a Venus retrograde, which probably that lunar eclipse in Virgo, what it made us recognize and face is something that we are overlooking or a blind spot or something that we would rather not look at in relationships, right? Relationship to another, relationship to ourselves. Where am I not keeping promises to myself? Where am I overextending myself? Where am I not minding my nervous system? And how is that now affecting me? Um, um, it's something that I've had to look at for myself, which is why I'm coming to you faceless this week. Um, how is my health, right? Um, in relationship to money, what is my relationship to money? How am I being the steward of my money? Do I have a belief system that I have to hustle for my money, or can I have a healthier relationship with attracting money, not because I'm not going to do anything, but because I am much more in alignment with how I want to align with the circulation of money in my life? These are really big, deep questions. That is the point of eclipse seasons, okay? So, as I mentioned, the ruler of Virgo went retrograde over the weekend on March 15th. And so now we are under the influence of a Mercury retrograde. The beautiful thing about all of this is that that Mercury retrograde is going to allow us to get ourselves organized, to integrate, because the first 2 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks of March, have been an overwhelm of downloads, have been perhaps an overwhelm of emotion, kind of a roller coaster of emotion, right? And then that lunar eclipse in Virgo being like, oh my God, I can no longer control this or avoid it. This Mercury retrograde is actually going to slow things down, as Mercury retrogrades do. And we're going to be able to say, okay, how do I need to get organized? What are the conversations I need to have? How am I giving myself the space and the time to actually deal with this and no longer avoid it in the way that I thought I could, right? And so that's going to be the trajectory of Mercury retrograde over the next couple of weeks. And this takes us to Monday, March 17th. And on Monday, March 17th, we have the Sun and Pisces come together with the North Node in Pisces. Look, the North Node in Pisces is about a spiritual awakening. It's about an elevation of consciousness. It's about saying, I am so much more than my circumstances. I am so much more than this external reality. I am unconditionally loved, guided, supported by a higher force, right? By a higher energy. What is my relationship to that energy? And how can it help me move through what that lunar eclipse in Virgo made clear? Right? So the sun represents us, our identity, our vitality, our ego, how we are showing up to the situation. And perhaps we might feel, some might feel a little defeated, like you're experiencing guilt. That tends to be one of the themes of the axes of Virgo Pisces, like I feel guilty about, or I should have done something differently. That's not the point. Because right now, the sun in conjunction to the North Node is saying, but there's another way. There's another way to look at this. There's another way to do this. There's another way to approach this. You are just going to have more faith than not. You're going to have to release control, right? And trust that the way that you are approaching this, as long as you're not avoiding it, you're not alone in the approach of it. The Sun North Node conjunction in Pisces is about forgiveness of self, forgiveness of another, and the lunar eclipse in Virgo of last week is saying, especially if this has to do with relationships, is saying, how do we forgive one another and kind of start again? Now, this starting again process, remember, Venus is retrograde, Mercury is retrograde, and we are in eclipse season. And anything that starts during an eclipse season, we see the manifestation of it or the outcome of it or, some growth of it in the following eclipse season. So whatever you start this eclipse season, you're going to see some fruition of it next eclipse season, which is in September, October of 2025. So this path of forgiveness, this path of understanding, this path of your relationship to a higher source, um, this begins now, but you have to be willing to surrender to that. You have to be willing, for those of you who purchase the Eclipse Guide, in the guided meditation, one of the things that I say at the end of the meditation is, I let go of the will of my ego and surrender to the will of my higher self. What does that mean to you? How does that land for you? Is it terrifying because you're like, what the heck does that mean? But I want to make all the decisions and I want things to be the way that I want them to be. Or perhaps you have to surrender in order to be guided. Now, the beautiful thing about the sun in Pisces conjunct the North Node in Pisces, which is even though the sun switches signs in the middle of the week, this magical, synchronistic, expansive, infinite type of energy is active all week long. This is such an amazing energy for, like I said, synchronicities, being in the right place at the right time, having expansive conversations with others that can land you some kind of opportunity. It is an eclipse season, so opportunities come to people all the time. Never mind that it's Mercury retrograde, never mind that it's Venus retrograde, a Sun North Node conjunction. The energy of that will trump um, any retrogrades, especially a Venus, especially a Mercury retrograde. This is a magical time of synchronicities. And, if you have any meetings, any calls or anything with that represents forward movement or opportunity this week, especially Monday. Beautiful, beautiful energy for that. Okay, this takes us to Wednesday, March 19th, because not much is going on Tuesday, the 18th. And so on Wednesday, March 19th, we have the sun in conjunction to Neptune, and this happens at 29 degrees Pisces. This is the dissolution of the way we thought things would be. This has everything to do with the lunar eclipse in Virgo of last week. I can no longer ignore this. I thought that if I ignored it, it would just kind of fix itself. I thought that if I ignored it, I wouldn't have to face the responsibility of it. And so this week, with the sun in conjunction to Neptune, is saying, I let go of that illusion. Or if you still are holding on to self-deceit in some way, shape, or form, this Sun-Neptune conjunction is saying, no, stop lying to yourself. Stop lying to yourself. Face what needs to be faced. Now, let's say that you are really stubborn or you are in a stubborn situation. The Sun-Neptune conjunction can have you really just avoiding things, dissociating, disconnecting, distracting. And I believe that everything in our path is purposeful, and if that's where you're at, then that's where you're at. But you will eventually have to face what it is that you know you have to face. On another note, the Sun-Neptune conjunction, this is also having a ton of faith, a lot of creativity. Again, the emphasis and the amplification of synchronicity this week is just so beautiful, right? Because the Sun-Neptune conjunction can also represent miracles, right? A Sun-Neptune conjunction is the dissolution of a part of our ego that says, you know what, I'm going to allow myself to be guided. I'm going to allow for miracles to happen in my life by not controlling so much. I'm going to forgive myself for past mistakes and let them be what they were, right? So there's a lot of healing that can come between Monday and Wednesday but you have to be willing to let go of a deeply rooted belief system that you feel that you somehow have control of the outcome. Okay? Uh-huh. Okay, Thursday, March 20th, we have the sun enter the sign of Aries, and that is the spring Aries equinox. Look, talk about a miraculous week. We begin the week with all of that Neptune North Node Sun in Pisces energy. Miracle, 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 miracle. And then the sun enters Aries, a new beginning. And we're going to have a solar eclipse in Aries at the end of the week. It's really hard during eclipse seasons to split the weeks into independent energies because it doesn't work that way during eclipse season. It's all happening at the same time. I genuinely believe that eclipse seasons are seasons in which timelines truly collapse. And the truth of the only now existing becomes even that much more obvious to the human mind in this 3D reality. So, quantum leaps this week and even the following week, oof, huge during this eclipse season for anyone who is, has been really focusing on forward movement, on connecting to source, on connecting to their higher self to manifest, to create something in their lives. So, this spring equinox, remember, 2025 is a year unlike any other. And this is a year of brand new beginnings. This spring equinox is happening while we have the North Node in Pisces, which really lends itself for miracles. You have to be willing. You have to be willing to let go of something that is weighing you down in order to give yourself a chance and the opportunity to see the growth that is on the other side. Because let me tell you, this energy promises that. But if you keep holding on to the things that are weighing you down, you're only going to delay the inevitable. And so, what that can look like is you continue in a situation that you know needs transformation, and only to come to find out that the next eclipse season, which is in September, October, you really have to let it go. You're going to put yourself through 6 more months of that, right? Now, I did mention forgiveness, right? You can forgive and still let go. Because if there is anything that Aries energy is going to show us, if there is anything that Venus and Aries is going to show us too, is what is the relationship with yourself and how do you prioritize yourself? This is a big deal. This is the sun entering Aries at 0 degrees Aries point. This is the beginning of the zodiac. This is a point in the zodiac that has been activated, oh my God, so many times throughout the last year and a half. New beginning, new beginning, new beginning. Now, on March 21st and 22nd, not much is going on. The moon does transit the sign of Capricorn and it opposes Mars in Cancer. Okay. So moon opposition to Cancer, moon opposition to Mars. This can be some blowouts. I mean, we are in the middle of eclipse season. There can be a lot of emotional conversations, emotional outbursts. So be mindful of that. But on the other hand, this can also be emotional breakthroughs, especially because now Mars is direct in Cancer, no longer retrograde. There's a different outlook of Mars in Cancer. There's a different, hopefully, willingness to move forward in a different way, right? Now, on Sunday, March 23rd, the Sun and Venus connect in Aries at 2 degrees Aries. This is the Sun-Venus conjunction. This is the Cazimi, and this is the halfway point, right? This is the halfway point of that Venus retrograde. Look, will anything necessarily happen or manifest on that day? I think it really depends on your chart. I think it depends on the degrees of your chart, exactly what planets this energy is hitting. But a Sun-Venus conjunction in Aries is the sun illuminating, the sun bringing light to what Venus has been considering, thinking about, deciding on since Venus went retrograde at the beginning of the month. So the sun is illuminating a Venus and Aries that wants a new beginning. Venus, money, worth, value, relationships, relationship to self, relationship to another. The sun here is saying, how are you showing up, sun, to this new relationship, to something or someone in your life that you want to have? How are they showing up for you if this has to do with someone else? There's a lot of clarity here, even with Mars retrograde. Don't get it twisted. Don't use a Mars retrograde as an excuse for thinking that things aren't clear. Things are clear. The only thing that Mercury retrograde is doing here is that it's slowing the energy down enough for you to get your thoughts organized. But it's not that you're confused. It's not that you don't know. It's how do you get your thoughts organized? How do you make a decision so that by the time that April, the beginning of April, mid-April comes, you're perhaps making different decisions. You're perhaps moving in a different direction. You're perhaps making different agreements. So this Sun-Venus conjunction on Sunday, March 23rd in the sign of Aries is how are you showing up to this new beginning? Now, yes, Venus is still retrograde, so this can come with aha moments. For some people, I think this week is going to be filled with opportunities, with new partnerships, new collaborations, exciting things that you get to plan out, I would say, over the next 3 to 6 months, right? So either over between the spring equinox and the summer solstice, so between now and June, or between now and the next eclipse season, which is September, October. It's a beautiful week, but what it really asks is for radical honesty of what deserves your time, energy, attention, and effort. And you have to remember that when you refuse to make a decision around something that you know you should make a decision around, then you are choosing to stay where you are. And if that's part of your path right now, then that's okay, right? But refusing to do something is also a decision. All right. So much love to you all. I hope that you still get a lot out of this and I hope you still enjoy it. I'm going to continue tending to myself, tending to my nervous system, moving as slowly as possible so I can also save my energy for my coaching clients, so that I can continue landing in my new space, which is really beautiful, but it's also very expansive. And expansion is beautiful, but it's still expansive, right? And for those of you who purchased the Eclipse Guide, I will see you Sunday morning at 9 a.m. for our group call, which I am so looking forward to. May this be of service. So much love to you.